The Sports Ball Stuff podcast is brought to you by The Goddamn Sauce. Go to thegdsauce.com for details to order all the sauces to replace your ordinary condiments. Pulpery Media presents Sports Ball Stuff with your hosts, Brock and Ben. This is where we discuss the major sports stories that intrigue us and the little stories that enrage us. Apparently, it should have been an all SEC college football playoff.
Apparently, that's the fix. When people start bitching about blowouts and stuff, it's like, oh, well, if not Tennessee, sorry.
Yeah, no, Tennessee got smoked.
Yeah, if
But
Alabama,
apparently a 3-loss Alabama team, who Alabama lost to a shit Oklahoma team,
correct,
was going to do better than UT.
No, so here's my big thing, right? Is they want these first round games to be competitive and draw in money, and because that's what they are, it's just money makers. But you can't do that other than filling a stadium. You're not going to get people tuning in to watch people get slaughtered.
Yeah,
And I think on paper, all of those were, everybody who won should have been heavily favored.
Yeah, so, well, I have two things to say, and I'll try to make the first one quick. So I don't like the, and not because I give a shit about the University of Indiana, but and I'm just going to use that as my example because I'm a Notre Dame fan. Is like when they go like Indiana shouldn't even been there. It takes away from Notre Dame's win as well of like, oh, well, if Alabama had been in that spot, Alabama would have won or, blah, blah, blah.
Huh.
So, but point number two.
In Alabama, when they play Division II teams, they're like, we can only play what's on the schedule. I'm not that SEC guy. A couple of people I work with are like, man, I hope Georgia wins. It's SEC. And I was like, fuck you.
No. I mean, we know that. We know that from baseball. It's like, there's those years where people are like, well, at least the team that won the World Series is from your division. I don't fucking give a shit.
No, I would rather them lose miserably.
I want the other league to win.
Just like the whole well, you want the team that beat you to win.
Right.
Fuck no. I want them to lose next. Give a fuck. The winner beat you that way. I don't care.
But my second point is this, is that, everybody, well, let's just say this, the Paul Feinbaums,
yep.
The Jim Romes, whoever you want, radio, or
the Colin Cowherds, the
Pat McAfee's, they were all coming in their pants about, essentially, we're moving into where we're only going to have 5 conferences, right?
Right. Well, we've been talking about for years.
But here's the problem with that. So take the SEC. You now have so many teams, it's now diluted.
Correct.
So your conference isn't as good as it used to be when you had 2 divisions, 8 teams on each side.
So now what you're saying is everybody's going to, almost like America does, like the leopards eat your face type of thing. Great, we signed all these teams, but now you get 6 teams in the top 15.
Well,
but none of them are fantastic, and everybody's got 2 losses.
Case in point, you look. I mean, again, it doesn't matter strength of schedule, whatever, because again, if we always went off of strength of schedule, Alabama wouldn't have been in national championships.
Fuck no,
because they always had a weak ass schedule, but they had their rivalry games. But anyway, I'm not going to get into that.
I digress.
But you take Indiana. Indiana was 11-1. The only loss they had was to Ohio State,
who's also in the playoffs.
Yeah, who is still in the playoffs.
And are playing Oregon, the winner of their conference.
Yeah, and Ohio State, again, Indiana lost to Ohio State when Ohio State was ranked. Ohio State's one loss was to Michigan.
At home.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Michigan wasn't even ranked.
Unranked Michigan.
Yeah. So, if we're talking about, if we go off of that, you're in a Power 5 conference, you have an 11-1 schedule, or 11-1 record, you absolutely deserve to be in the playoffs.
Correct. The other thing people are bitching about is the seeding.
Yeah.
Because they went hard with the Power 4 conference champions get the top 4 seeds, which is what we bitched about at the beginning. And we were like, Notre Dame was number 3 and ended up the 7 seed.
Right, but see, I get that, but
I'm just using that as an example.
No, I know, yeah.
But so that's another complaint.
Notre Dame always gets knocked because they're not in a conference.
Exactly. There's no conference championship. But Ohio State got awarded.
Yeah.
Because they have 2 losses and didn't win their
conference championship. Yeah. But yeah, Michigan wasn't put in the playoffs because they won their conference championships.
They beat Ohio State. Oregon won the conference championship.
Oh, you're right. Still, yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah, they lost the rivalry. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But still, like the SEC, Georgia won.
Yeah.
That's why they're the number 3 seed. That's fine.
And I'm going to come back to, and again, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this.
Please do.
No,
please do.
Because I've said this about Marcus Freeman and the program he's building, in that where you're seeing some of these teams, Oregon as well. Like Oregon comes into the Big Ten, but Oregon is also was quick to learn how to work the portal.
Yeah, which you've heard us bitch about the portal for a while.
So. But see, like I'm fine with it because. And again, I'm fine with it because I'm a Notre Dame fan. Because Notre Dame being a non-conference team is that, and that's what.
Excuse me.
Aside from that Marcus Freeman wants to set up a system,
right, a culture
at Notre Dame like Nick Saban did. He's also savvy to the changes that are happening right now, which is NIL should be a given for Notre Dame because. You have a home. All your home games are nationally broadcast.
Correct.
And almost every one of your road games is nationally broadcast.
Correct. And the alumni there, and it's a private school, so you have the money.
Yeah, you have a big endowment.
Correct.
Yeah.
Like you should have a little bit of stash there.
Well, but it's like if you're a player on Notre Dame, you're going to get national exposure.
Mm-hmm.
That's why Notre Dame is one of the last few teams that can recruit from all regions. Now, again, they've been bad at recruiting from the South, but
Where's Notre Dame
at? South Bend, Indiana.
Okay. And they are really good at recruiting in California.
And New York.
Think about that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
You're going to talk some kid from California, some 4-star cornerback.
Yeah.
To go from here to... Where is it again?
The middle of fucking nowhere.
South Bend, Indiana.
You're an hour train ride to Chicago.
That's South. Wow, the Detroit Lions are trash.
Oh, stop
it. Right, and it's always been like that.
Yeah.
Because it's Notre Dame.
Well, back in the old days when you could recruit from only
the 1900s
or like 30s, 40s, and 50s when it's like because of racism and shit like that, and it's like, oh well, we're a Catholic university, so we can just go into any Catholic school and go, hey, you want to come play for Notre Dame? And they're like, yes.
Yeah, here we go. Come on.
Yeah.
Even you, Rudy.
Yeah, but now that Catholic school dominance in state football company. Now again, outside of Louisiana, that's the case. Louisiana, it still is like. A Catholic school usually wins the state championship.
Yeah, I think this past year there were a couple Catholic schools that won.
I know.
But, I'm just saying. There's a
the
couple.
Money. But,
You think?
But my point is Marcus Freeman is among a handful of coaches who have tapped into that, like, okay, we need to learn. They learned the transfer portal quickly.
I have a question when you're finished. And
have done really well. You look at a lot of the SEC coaches. And I have another interesting point I just want to throw out.
How old's Marcus Freeman?
It's like, we're older than he is.
Okay, so then he understands that stuff.
Right, yeah.
The SEC is still a...
old white man.
A legacy conference, which is you see head coaches who started as offensive coordinators and in the SEC, and then... Or a defensive back to linebacker,
I threw this out to... I think I threw it out to my brother. But just answer me this question. Name me one African-American head coach in the SEC.
I can't.
Right. And this is like,
no, I can't.
And that's the conference that now. What is the majority of teams in the SEC? What is like, what would you say the percentage of their team is African American?
70.
Yeah,
At
80, 90%.
At least, and that's taking averages from Vanderbilt.
Yeah,
Sorry.
but they still have a lot of African American players. Yeah. So you're going like it's, the
look at this fucking bigot.
The conference that should have the most African American head coaches who would know how to utilize these new things that are popping up. But the SEC still sticks with, like you said, legacy. Like you had to work with Nick Saban or with Les Miles.
Or Brian or your Southern accent has to be terrible.
Right. But it's... And a lot of those dudes are the same ones that like they hate NIL contracts. Yep. They refuse to work the portal.
Why do you think
and do all those
LSU
things.
Lost out?
Yeah, no, exactly.
Because everybody was just like, no, we're not. This is what we're going to pay you. This is what we think you are owed.
Yeah.
And fuck you.
So that's going to be that's going to be the downfall of the SEC if they don't get on the portal idea. Like, and of course, it's crazy to me because like I know they do a little bit of it, but like a team like Mizzou.
Right.
If Mizzou learned how to work the transfer portal, they could dominate the SEC for a couple of years until eventually they have to start hiring coaches who actually know what the fuck they're doing in this new environment.
Well, Mizzou also has every senior JUCO around them, right?
Right.
Because they're in the middle.
Right.
There you go.
Yeah.
You can poach all of those cats.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing. You can't do the recruiting of, I'm Nick Saban, come to Alabama, you're going to win. You can't do that anymore.
No.
No, now it's like, how much money can you pay me and how much exposure am I going to get?
Right, and that's where, Wednesday is going to be the telling moment for Georgia.
Yeah.
Because that's what Kirby Smart's been trying to build is that like, oh, I'm that dude. I'm the new Nick Saban.
The dude at Clemson tried that.
Yeah.
Tried that.
Yeah, but
Dabo Sweeney.
Yeah, he's got a Muppet name, but
yeah, fuck that guy.
And he got lucky.
Well, he had a fucking generational college quarterback.
2.
Yeah.
And only one.
Only one of them is decent in the NFL.
Yeah, but
who's great quarterback plays for a shit team.
Right? Yeah. So you're just going, yeah, but it's that thing of like, if you like right now is that, and that's what they don't get, and that's what I think. Again, we'll see if Marcus Freeman can prove it out. But that idea of not just of like working transfer portal, but the NIL money is going to be a big thing. Not just what of like a university can bring in, but it's like what notoriety.
Yeah.
But what notoriety can you get? Like LSU should be milking that. You come here, you're on every Raising Cane's is going to give you a fuck ton of money.
So
you're going to be on every Raising Cane's commercial,
and you're going to be on every Mercedes-Benz commercial with what's his face, Ronnie Lamarck.
Yeah,
and Morris Bart and Spencer Callahan,
or Dudley DeBosier.
I could go on and on forever. Spencer Callahan never drops a catch. You notice that?
Yeah,
he's 1,000%. How many takes it takes Mr. Spencer? I mean, the Mackerels don't have money. Fletcher and Thetcher or whatever.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is that every and there are those opportunities, but that's where this is where like TV contracts, and that's why coming back to Notre Dame and that they were able to re-up with NBC, even though some of the lesser games are going to be on Peacock.
Doesn't matter. They're still getting money and they're still getting exposure.
Well, and even if it's streaming, it's like that means like people around the world, like those. Like whether it's alumni overseas,
I was about to say, you mean a guy who graduated from Notre Dame and is now a tech genius,
or some random Irish bar in like Dublin, just putting Notre Dame on. The following segment has been brought to you by the Goddamn Sauce. Go to thegdsauce.com for details to order all the sauces to replace your ordinary condiments. The Sports Ball Podcast is a production of Pulpery Media, produced and edited by Ben Grimion. Marketing by Brock Ryder. Graphic design by Beck Ryder and Ben Grimion. Music by the Heisenberg Compensators.